Zach Baggins having a midlife crisis. Welcome to I Be Suffer.
Yeah.
I was fucking... I don't remember what I looked up. I was trying to look up something because I was going to see if I could find just the clip of him having like a meltdown in the middle of it because I was going to try to put it in the episode, but I could not find it, and I do not feel like scrubbing through to find it on Max to put it on here. But I ended up falling down like the episode discussion on Reddit about this, and every review was like, "Whoa, Zach's jacked again."
So this episode is called the Poltergeist House.
Mm-hmm.
The Poltergeist House Curse. Why can't I talk? Oh my god.
The Poltergeist House Curse. Oh, where's that sad trombone?
And so it's like the first episode of the newest season. Maybe it's the second episode. I don't know. You know how I wrote down... Oh, no. I was right. It is season 29, episode 1. Well, you know. Yeah.
It's baffling because, like, everything says season 29, but Max says season 27.
Right. Which is weird because I have written in my notes season 29. This was on during that thing where Max decided that they were only going to have like 3 seasons of Ghost Adventures on there now and took everything off. And Ghost Adventures is always fucked up anyway, so whatever. This is what I'm going to just call season 29, episode 1, because that's what I wrote. And it is the Poltergeist House Curse. And so this aired this year. This is the newest season. And I turned it on, and immediately when Zach shows up, I was like, whoa, what happened? Because and I'm pretty sure I texted you about it immediately too, because it was so alarming. I was like, he is jacked in a way that looks concerning.
Well, it looks like he's doing that thing where every once in a while you'll see people that like are way into lifting weights, but they don't do any other exercises. So like their arms and chest get huge, and then they have like the smallest like lower torso and legs.
His neck is also really thick, and his face, like, Zach's always had a particular look about him.
Yeah, cool.
And very cool. But I like literally, when I first saw it, it was like a staggering difference from the end of the last season, and I was like, I feel concerned. So
I mean, probably steroids, honestly.
Oh, 100%. Like that's what I'm saying. It doesn't look natural at all. And now it's like even more shocking. And then, you know, all that stuff came out about how he had been dating Holly Madison, who was a Playboy bunny. I don't know much about that, but she is also like very much into advocating for I don't know if it's a show or just a podcast, because I've heard podcast versions of it where she has a show covering basically like murders that have happened to women who were part of the Playboy thing, and advocating for victims and stuff like that. So she is like, you know, say what you will about models or whatever, but she's intelligent, she's articulate, she is, you know, an advocate, which is like really great, and she has like insider knowledge on what it's like to be like running around in these kinds of circles. So he was dating her somehow. Girl, you can obviously do way better. I don't really know what was going on with that. But they were dating for a really, really long time. They ended up breaking up. They got back together, and then it came out, you know, finally they broke up recently. And it's been coming out now that he was cheating on her, like, the whole time.
Yeah, with, like, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Right, but it's like, And you know, to be very honest with you, like it will never surprise me when you find out that like when you have these like kinds of couples where one of them is like cheating. Not always, but usually I would say it's the man. It doesn't surprise me because like no matter who a man is with, like even if he deserves that person or not, he's gonna just man's gonna man, you know what I'm saying? But
Well,
like
I think especially if they're like a celebrity where they're like,
right.
you know,
Yes.
probably, especially somebody of like his status, I'm sure he probably gets hit on pretty frequently.
Right, which is weird to me. It's like guys, like I mean,
It's
I
the
very much
goatee.
understand. I think yeah, it's got to be in the glasses. I very much understand. Like I've been on, obviously, a lot of people have been in on the receiving end of like dealing with somebody who has some kind of notoriety, whether it's like a D-list celebrity. I mean, Zach, like, you know, we can say what we want about like his personality and like joke around about the show. He is very successful. He is a
Yeah.
successful man. He's got the museum, he's got the TV shows, he's got, you know, like actually tons of TV shows. So like even if you're of a person who like you know watches Ghost Adventures and is on the side of like, oh, he's so goofy, like this is fake, obviously, duh. He's successful, he's got notoriety, and he's got that thing where like if you were to run into him on the street, like I could see how it would be intimidating, or you know, just that relationship that they hold some sort of like superiority is not the right term, but like, you know, it's just like all that stuff coming out about like the band members where it's like somebody in some kind of like perceived
Oh,
status of
yeah.
power or
Like
whatever
even like
uses that.
bands that are like even like middling popularity where like they're only really popular in a very specific niche genre
Yeah.
end up like someone will come out that they have this like insane fucking like I can't think of the term now. Like grooming ring going on and you're just
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
dude probably has $12 to his name. How is this happening?
Right. And so, like, all this to say, I'm not faulting anybody. I'm not actually saying, Holly girl, what was your problem? Because, like, I get it,
Yeah.
right? She obviously deserved much better. All of the women who Zach was cheating on her with deserved much better. I did see, you know, as of May, I think 7 women have come out. There's absolutely, I'm sure, more. But he did do, like, I saw a video specifically of, uh, I don't know her name, but it was basically somebody who is, like, in the paranormal circuits, like, online. And, he messaged her, or they were messaging back and forth or something, and he said, why don't you come to my museum? And she did, and was like swept up in all of that or
I
whatever.
mean, look, that would
And
work on
like,
me.
listen, I'm not gonna lie. Although if he touched me, that would be another, like, that's a no-go. I've got pepper spray on me at all times, I'm just saying. So like I very much see how this could happen to anybody. Like, I'm not blaming anybody, I get it. All that to say is like obviously he continues to prove that he's just like a piece of shit. Holly has, and I will say that like they kept their relationship, like obviously people now know that they were dating and broke up and were dating whatever, but for the large part of it, they kept their relationship kind of quiet, which I totally understand. So I'm not saying like, you know, anybody, I don't know, whatever. It is what it is. But she at least has been like kind of speaking up a little bit about it. So I've been like watching her TikToks about it. And she's just been sharing things about like how he had uh not Grinder, what's the
Tinder.
Tinder, yeah. I don't know why immediately my mind went to Grinder.
I mean,
He had a Tinder, and the profile was essentially just like a bunch of lies, right? Because he, I guess, was like adamant to her that he never wanted to have kids, like he didn't want to go down that road or whatever. And then in his profile, it would say like interested in kids. I also loved that one of his like his like characteristics or like qualities that he had was that he said he was empathetic. So anyways, it's just been like a good, she's been like, good sport about it isn't really the right term, but she's, obviously it sucks to get cheated on, but at least she has like the community behind her,
I think it
So,
kind of rocks how in the last maybe 5-ish years, I don't know, maybe long, I don't know, some span of time where like I feel like a lot of people that were considered like jokes or like people that like the general because of reality shows and just like the way they were like portrayed in media that they were just considered to be like dumb or whatever have like kind of like had this resurgence or whatever lately where there were people were just like, oh, these people actually kind of rock. Like her, like Pamela Anderson has
Paris
got,
Hilton.
yeah, like fucking even like Flavor Flav, where like because of like Flavor of Love, people just because he played that character of Flavor Flav or whatever, like the over extremely exaggerated version of himself on that show. And then, like, he's out here now, like, sponsoring, like, half of the women's teams at the Olympics because they had no other way to get there. And he was like, I'll pay for it. And just, like, shit like that. Like, I don't know. It's kind of some of the people that got, like, ground up into, like, the media as just being, like, dumb and disposable or whatever. In, like, especially the early 2000s. And especially, like, women... like the women that were like considered to be like hot women that then they turned like 30 and they were like, "Blah, get out of here, old hag," type of shit. Like,
I think 30's generous, but yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, and so like, I don't know. I like if with everything else that's constantly going on in the world, I do think it's kind of cool that like it seems like a lot of them have been able to sort of like
reclaim their humanity.
Yeah. I was gonna say like 180 their image or whatever, but like I'm sure they were probably all like this to begin with, but then just like I've watched enough like 90 Day Fiance at this point that like I am actively aware of how many of these people have been on like 20 other fucking reality shows just trying to, because they just think that they'll become like the next like Tiffany Pollard or some shit, or just trying to be on TV. And it's like I can see how editing for some of these people like goes against who they probably really are. And like I'm sure like Girls Next Door was constantly producer intervention and being like, oh well, can you do this like dumber and like flightier and like shit like that, and just making them seem like, oh, there's just like a bunch of dumb blonde Playboy bunnies and shit.
Yeah. I mean, I think that the especially I feel like the Playboy-esque type of women are really like taking back their power because, and you know what? It also goes back to, and like I'm not trying to have like a long philosophical talk about this, but there was a time too when that kind of like profession or whatever like obviously was advertised as being like for men, and then I feel like that social media very much tried to pit like women who were outside of that world like against them and to like look down on them, and like that's obviously very true and that's a thing. So I feel like that part of it too, whereas now that women who were like targeted by that as adults are being like, oh hey, that was like literally just the media trying to tell us that we should like look down on these women for literally no reason. So kind of like reuniting them and like realizing that that kind of shit is like part of the problem. And so now we're like, I don't know. I feel like it's just like a coming together for like feminism and stuff, which is like really great.
Well,
and
I think like
their stories are just being told more in like a way of like, specifically that Playboy Murders show that I was talking about is like, it's not okay that this happened to them just because of your perceived idea as to like how they live their life, I guess.
It's interesting because I think like about like when we did that Triple Fisher movie for like the bonus episode, where like at one point I was like, yeah, it seems like some of this stuff's gotten better. Like, well, no, actually, I don't know, it's probably all still bad all the time. Where, like, aspects of it gets better while other aspects of it just get infinitely worse as time goes on. And it's like,
Yeah.
it's this weird, interesting, like, push and pull with, like, the way our entire culture works, where I feel like, I guess mostly just because of, like, the circles I surround myself in, where I'm like, yeah, things seem like, there's a lot more respect for, like, people, blah blah blah, and then I just look at any news and I'm like, no, this is all time low.
Well, that's kind of what I was gonna say too, is that like I feel like now, mainly because this is like such a weird time to be considering this, talking about this, like considering like some of the stuff we're going to be talking about in the bonus episode. But I feel like that's largely due to the internet because, like, while, yeah, some things are getting better, but I feel like the things that are getting better, it's because we have more access to finding the sides of, like, the
Right.
internet or the sides of our community that are aligned with us. Whereas before, it was like, I just feel like it was harder to do that.
Yeah.
And, like, when you're younger too, I think you're not thinking like, oh, like you're just more impressionable to what someone directly is saying to you. So then you're like, okay, yeah, this girl, oh man, what a slut. She must be dumb. And then it's like, you're like, oh no, like it's fine if you're a slut. Like that's totally cool.
Oh
It
yeah,
has
be
nothing to
you.
do with like anything. That's what I'm saying. Like, be you, girl, support women. Well, So anyway, that was a huge segue. All to say that there's a lot of Ghost Adventure stuff happening because, we have this like scandal, quote unquote. Zach looks absolutely insane. So they broke up in May, I think. And this episode came out in April, but like they filmed it already, right? So whatever was going on with him has been going on for a little bit of time.
Do you know if this is the episode that Aaron finds out about his wife?
I don't think that they released that information.
I saw it because, like I said, I fell down like the rabbit hole of like reading the discussion of on Reddit of this episode, and I saw
Yeah.
people like theorizing that this was probably around the time, and that like because like I don't know, I feel like maybe you said that like they were filming or something when he found out about it, and like, they were all like theorizing that this was the episode.
Right. So first of all, they were filming when they found out, and they were actually in a lockdown, which is what they call
Like like an
they're
overnight lockdown thing.
investigating it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I don't know that I've seen anywhere that said exactly what they were filming. I want to kind of. I feel like this might have been recorded or like I don't know. They're being kind of vague about it. I wanted to kind of maybe like rewatch some of the episodes to see if you could tell. But like he didn't find out on camera, obviously, so I think they took a little bit of a break and then they started recording again. What could you imagine? And like
Honestly, I'm surprised that they didn't do it
I
on
know.
camera.
And to Zach's credit, he came out publicly after it happened and said, like, we're not going to be talking about this during the show.
Yeah.
We're not exploiting it during the show. And so far, I haven't seen, like, I don't read Ghost Adventures news every day, obviously, right? Like, I watch the show when it comes out as, like, background. And, like, I know a bit about it just because I'm in paranormal and I'm in true crime circles. But, like, I'm not as obsessed with the show as like maybe I appear to be. So I haven't really seen anything about that, and I thought about rewatching it, but like I don't really know. They maybe who the fuck knows. I do know that his wife was only sentenced to like 36 to 90 months with time served, which seems like I totally understand she didn't actually commit a crime herself. I think it's fucked up that like had she been successful and he would have been killed, she would have gotten way more time because like why do you have to wait till I mean it's just
Yeah,
whatever.
I mean that's
So
like that was all the shit with Tim Lambesis from As I Lay Dying. Like he got more time because I think there was more shit going on. But it's like he got out and everyone was just like, hell yeah, he's back. And I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with all of you?
yeah, and she already served like a couple months while she was in custody, like waiting for trial, and she gets time served on that. So like, if I just like don't even know how you, like, Aaron, how do you ever feel safe again? Like, they're divorced, or he's gonna get a divorce, or they are divorced, or like whatever at this point. But like, you would really hope that with the public eye on her, she'd be like, okay, it's fine, we're separated now. But like, I don't know, man. I just would always be like, is that the guy? Like,
I think it was
whatever.
Zach Baggins.
It might have been. Could you imagine? Okay, so yeah, okay, so Ghost Adventures. Okay, so the reason I picked this one is because obviously it's super unhinged. Zach, as you've already said, literally has a mental breakdown in the middle of the show, which was concerning to say the least.
Like, I've seen the episodes we've done, and probably like maybe 5 outside of that were just like periodically, like maybe be like a friend's house and they were watching it or something. But I also like, I'm not exactly sure if it was this or like Ghost Hunters or like whatever, you know. I couldn't tell you. I just seen like some episodes of the ghost shows, and like I feel like anything we've seen, like he does goofy shit, but like he legitimately just starts talking, and it's like he just is just like, you know, we're all getting older. It's happening, and it's not great.
We're gonna die.
Yeah, you know, we're all gonna die, and somebody will probably be talking to me one day. And this is like having this sort of like midlife crisis, mental breakdown, and everyone's just like, huh?
I know. And I will say, like, watching this for the first time, I was like, what in the fuck is going on here? Like, the show is this episode specifically is like so weird. Like, it's already sensational because they're at the Poltergeist house, which is like obviously has such notoriety because of like not only the movies being like one of the most successful like movie cult classics, whatever, but also like all of that shit that they're trying to like perpetuate about there being a curse, et cetera, et cetera. So like it already was kind of like a big episode, but then he just like, not only does he have like a midlife, like a mental breakdown in the middle, just like a tiny mentee bee, he also exhibits a lot of like you're saying, a lot of the episodes he is goofy. I feel like a lot of it he phones in. Their reactions are over the top a lot of the times, but I feel that this episode was really unhinged because a lot of their reactions to things, to me as somebody who's watched I don't even know how many episodes, seemed like legitimate reactions. And I don't know if it was just like, you know, we can talk forever about what kind of, like, if somebody's behind the scenes, like if they know the kind of evidence that they're going to get, if somebody's like, I don't know, maybe somebody's hiding in a room and knocks on stuff and they don't know, so they're, you know what I mean? But some of the things that happen in this episode, like, so I could see, maybe that's why people are saying this is when they found out, because they're all very, like, well, specifically Aaron and specifically Zach are very on edge in this episode.
It's very strange because, like, I know 99% of what it is they're in the dark and they're amped up.
Yeah, sure.
And it's just like a noise happens and they all freak themselves out and keep amping themselves up. And it's a lot of that shit. But, like, this one is so weird because it's like, I don't know, Zach won't stop talking about how like Poltergeist is his favorite movie, but also like he comes off like, I'm like, bro, you've never seen this movie.
Yeah. He's also never ever talked about Poltergeist.
Yeah.
Like, he's,
and
well, I mean, he does own some of the stuff from it, but he owns a lot of shit. So like, I don't know.
It's one of those things where like the way he talks about it, I'm like, this feels so forced, where like, and like, I know I saw some people saying that like they had actually actively been trying to film there for like a long time, and like other ghost shows or whatever, and so like maybe, but I don't know, the way he talks about things, I'm just like, I don't believe you for one. But then like the lady he brings in is so fucking over the top and ridiculous that like,
which one?
I don't remember her name, like the sort of like olderish white lady that's just like
the psychic,
the one that she said that she was there for filming and was like, I told the director, whose name I won't say because I probably don't know it, that like
Right.
this movie will get made and it's gonna make a bunch of money and all this stuff. I'm just like, shut, oh my god.
Yeah, so okay, we'll get there because I have some things to say about Jill the psychic medium. Okay,
What
weirdly,
a title.
before we start, yeah, before we start the actual episode synopsis, I have a snack corner,
Is it cotton candy
which is that
pickles?
it is dill pickle flavored cotton candy. The package is literally so cute. But we're gonna see.
We saw that yesterday. Caitlin was like, "You gonna buy that?" I was like, "No, I'm not."
We'll see. Is cotton candy vegan?
Sometimes, not always.
I gotta cut it open because the little rip thing didn't work. That's already a point against you, dill pickle cotton candy.
Get fired.
Well, it smells like dill pickle. Ugh. I don't know. Alright, here I go. Hmm. Um, I think I kind of have the same critique as a lot of the dill pickle stuff that I try, where like it doesn't really taste strongly of dill pickle. I'm getting the essence more of like a cucumber.
I feel like my problem with that is like when I want something dill pickle, I want to crunch with it, and
Mm.
that would not have it.
That's why I that's why I think the things that have been really successful for me has been chips.
Yeah, I like the
Um,
pretzels a lot, although they like hurt my tongue after I eat like 10 of them.
yeah, I know you can't have it, but my favorite thing so far I think has been the Flamin' Hot Dill Pickled
God, that sounds
Cheetos.
so good.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think the more that I eat this, the more dill pickly it would taste, but it's like tasting kind of just like regular cotton
I
candy.
think some of the ones though where it's like a candy, they don't lean into it hard enough,
No,
and that's
no.
like the problem.
It's kind of like when I opened it, I smelled dill pickle, but now that it's been open, I feel like the essence of the dill pickle is gone.
Yeah, now it's just cotton candy.
Yeah.
It's like on
I
those
mean,
cooking shows, and they're just like, we're gonna give it like a smoked wood essence, and they just like hit some smoke on it, and they're just like, good enough.
yeah. Um, yeah, so I'm gonna give this like a 2. Oh, you know what? Oh, it is vegan, so oh, it's also nut free. Nobody put their nuts in this.
Yeah,
Okay, well, oh well, it's fine. I'll still eat it as cotton candy, but it does not taste like dill pickle at all, which is a bummer. I'm really wanting somebody to make like super sour pickle like gummies or something. Would be great,
I
but
thought there were. I guess they're not gummies, but I thought there were like pickle warheads.
oh my god, if there are, I need them. I tried that is it sucker punch,
Oh
sour punch?
no, they're actual pickles that are like that have like the sour like warhead juice
Oh my
on
god, I
them.
would try that so fast. I tried that like sour punch ones, and they also were not very dill pickly. And I'm saying, stop being cowards. Anyways, I mean, they're still getting my money, I guess. Oh well, somebody bought that for me, so thankfully I
They
didn't
got
waste
someone
my
else's
own money.
money.
But okay, here we are. Ghost Adventures of Poltergeist House Curse. Okay, we're in Simi Valley, California, which is where the Poltergeist house is. And I guess if for some reason you don't know anything about Poltergeist or like what we're talking about, this is a house, an actual real house that they filmed the movie Poltergeist in. And versus like it wasn't just all shot on a lot, which I think is kind of what people think all things are. So the house was like owned by an actual family. It still exists there today, and it's been, it's like an actual residence, right? Um, Zach tells us this is an iconic location. That Poltergeist is a film of conflict, controversy, and a curse. And then Zach says this is an absolutely historic investigation for the Ghost Adventures crew. Okay.
Yep. He amps this up too much at the beginning, and I get it's like
Yeah.
a season premiere, but like I was like,
Chill
dude,
out, bro.
please calm down.
I will, yeah, I will say that my first page and a half of notes I took weeks ago when we were originally supposed to do this. So we'll see because I wrote a bunch of question marks after historical investigation, whatever. We get a reenactment of a little girl with a terrible wig going, "They're
Oh
here,"
my
which
god.
Zach does multiple times in this episode. We see the intro, there are things in this world we will never understand. This is one of my this is one of my favorite parts of the episode where I just wrote dudes drive and chat on speakerphone about feelings.
It's just only made
Um,
me think of like great food truck race where there's like a car and then the food truck following each other, and the only way they can communicate is with like walkie talkies.
Walkie-talkie, exactly, yeah. And then they get like the text from Tyler, and they're like, "Tyler just texted
Mm.
us." Um, so this is what I read. If you listen to our last episode, I read the synopsis to Kit, but here it is. This is Zach. He goes on a lot of he is known for his monologues, right? But he goes on a lot of monologues in this episode. So like I can't even imagine what else was going on with him because he seems to have gone off the deep end here. So he says, "It's so weird to say that as a little boy, how things happen in life. And there I was, just like I said, a little boy, watching this movie, more terrified about the clown doll than anything else." That's like verbatim what he says. That's like literally what he says to the dudes. He's talking about how Poltergeist is so iconic, and the other guys are like, "Yeah, man, dude, yeah, you know?" And I'm like, "You guys have not seen this movie, but that's fine." And he talks about now he owns the original clown doll from the movie. It's in his museum. That is like one of his most like along with the Annabelle doll or whatever other doll he has. That's his like one of his most iconic things that people go to the museum to see. Um, this is when we find out that like Zach and that they have been trying to investigate at the Poltergeist house for X amount of years, right? They've been doing this for like decades. And there was a family that owned the house. They were very private. They didn't want anybody to come in. After 45 years, the house finally goes on the market. Um, and so now this is like they finally have the opportunity to go to the house because the new owner is moving in. And she's like, "Yeah, come on down." Zach narrates to us um, the plot of the movie, which is literally that a family moves in and are haunted. Um, what they're telling
I would
us is
listen
that
to Zach Baggins do a podcast where he just recaps movies in 45 seconds.
yeah, I would love that. Um, because I feel like this movie at the time was like very scary, and the plot twist. Spoiler alert for Poltergeist. The spoiler alert is that essentially the house was built on. In real life, it's the Chumash. I don't even remember if they even say anything in the movie about
I
what kind
think
of
they
like
just say
people
like
they were,
like an Indian burial ground in the
quote
movie.
unquote, right. And so, like at the time, I feel like that was like, oh my God, that's wow, that's crazy. And then that became kind of like a trope in movies after that, like having like a burial ground being under your house or whatever. But this is like where it came from, this movie. And so the area in and around where the house is built in California, legit, like that used to be Chumash land. Well, still is, used to be, question mark. And they're saying that this is where the curse comes from. And I still find this like a little what's the word? Not like offensive because obviously I'm not Chumash, but I find this like inappropriate. I don't know. But
Well, it's
basically,
one of those things where it's like I've seen like people discuss the idea of like can you be like a house be haunted because it's built on like a burial ground, and it's like like no, because technically every single building in this country is
yeah,
built on like a burial ground. Like people are
yeah.
dead everywhere. The amount of people that would be buried in the world, like you are probably on someone's burial ground at all times.
Definitely. And I think the reason that it like rubs me the wrong way is because we're continuing to use the word curse, which I feel like is a negative like way that they would, because like the people, who like took their land or whatever don't understand their like religious beliefs, don't understand their practices, and I feel like it's like in a negative derogatory way saying the word curse, and it's like they're like putting that attribute on them. So it's like, oh yeah, they're angry spirits and it's a curse. And it's like, first of all, they have the right to be angry. They absolutely have the right to be haunting and like doing whatever. But I just feel like curse has like a negative annotation that I just like feel is like inappropriate for how heavy they're like leaning on that. Because now, okay, so he says, yes, actually, this was built on too much land, and that's where the curse comes from. That's what he's saying. So this is when he starts breaking down to us how this movie is cursed. Okay, and if you've seen this is like a huge point of contention. Like people love to talk about this and like The Exorcist being like cursed, and I think if you've listened to our episodes, like how Nathan and I feel about that, specifically Exorcist. But this is what he's telling us makes this movie cursed, okay? 5 months after the release of the movie, Dominic Dunn, who was in the movie, is murdered by an ex-boyfriend. Okay, sounds to me like the boyfriend was a piece of shit, obviously. Okay, then Poltergeist 2, the movie, during production, there was lights that were falling and stuff. That sounds like shoddy craftsmanship to me, but whatever.
Right.
And they ask what they refer to as a shaman to do an exorcism, which I don't think that those things, like that's like terminology for two different kinds of like religions, but okay. And then 2 years later, the man who does the exorcism dies from complications of a heart and lung transplant. Okay, that doesn't seem like, it seems like if you're getting your heart and your lungs transplanted, that's like, I'm not surprised that he had a hard time.
Right.
Do you know what I'm saying? Okay. Then we have Julian Beck passing away from cancer. Also very sad, but also pretty much a normal thing. We have Heather O'Rourke, obviously. She's like the big one I feel like people point to because she was like so young.
Yeah.
And she dies at the age of 12, which is sad and tragic, but
also
it's not
uncommon.
Like, yeah, it's not like it doesn't happen, and it's like, put in the spotlight more because she was like a very young actress, and people were saying that she was like a prodigy. She could read the script when she was really young, which apparently is like unheard of, and she was talented, and she was like a cute little girl, right? Like obviously it sucks. She had her whole life ahead of her. Do I think that she's cursed? No. Why would they curse a little girl? Anyway,
there's like it's
we're not done.
I know, but it's like the thing that drives me crazy is like this movie. Like, yes, I'm not gonna say like a lot of things didn't happen to people that were in it, but it's like for me when like I hear about like a cursed movie, I expect to hear things like oh, like the guy that gets like his head cut off in like The Omen. He also like had his head cut off in real life. Like,
okay, that's
shit like that. Where like I'm
yeah.
like I expect it to be like a mirrored thing, or like like they slowly lost their mind and became like a recluse and blah, something like it's like weird and not just like, well, they died of like an extremely common like illness that unfortunately half the population gets.
Right. Yeah, okay, because then we have in 2004, Poltergeist 2 director dies from bone cancer. Also very sad, very common. 2009, Lou Perryman is murdered. Also very sad. But like, the Poltergeist movies came out so long ago compared to when they're saying, oh, in 2004, this person died. Like, how does that have anything to do with the movie at that point? They lived a long life after that. Anyways.
It's like, we talked about it, especially when like Cursed Films was coming out.
Yeah.
Where I was just like, I don't know. The only one of these that I find remotely interesting is like Twilight Zone the movie. And like, again, that's not cursed. That's just like people being unsafe for like
right.
profit, and that's what like a lot of the stuff like I think about where like they'll be like the Wizard of Oz was cursed, and I'm like, no, they weren't cursed. They were using lead paint and shit like that,
Right.
and like, you know, they were like, it's just nobody was safe, and like they were actively like essentially
OSHA wasn't around.
poisoning the lead actress with diet pills and shit, and like stuff like that. I'm like, it's not a curse. It's just that people are assholes.
Yeah, yep. And the other thing, like, obviously we're gonna get into it because they bring it up a few times.
You know what movie is cursed? The VHS tape from The Ring.
Oh, yeah, exactly. That's a
Do
real
a cursed
curse.
films
That's
on that.
actually, yes, I want to see that. The other part of them being like, oh yeah, it's because of they desecrated the Chumash land and they put a curse on them. I'm like, first of all, leave those people alone. Okay, haven't they been through enough? And also, they're like, oh yeah, it's because they used human skeletons in the production. And Jill, the psychic medium, was like, I told him not to do that. I told him that they were gonna get mad. That was just like, sure, is it in poor taste? Probably, but that was like so common back in the day.
Again, like, if that's the case, then like every science class that has like a real human skeleton in it is also cursed, I guess.
They are, yeah.
Yeah, that checks out.
That's why I failed my test, because it was a curse.
Like
It was the curse.
every science teacher is I don't know, dying of some fucking weird disease no one's ever heard of. All the time. It's all we hear about.
Yep. So that's the end of the curse, is that in 2009 Lou Perryman is murdered. Also terrible. But as we found, unfortunately, actors get murdered all the time.
You know what seems cursed? Ghost Adventures.
Yeah, right? Actually.
I'm sorry, but if you're gonna like, you know what I do believe in curses is that everybody on Ghost Adventures is cursed based on doing this show, I guess.
I mean, yeah, obvious. Yeah. Oh my God. I'm so mad that they took all of the seasons off, because there's I can't remember if it's just 2 episodes or 1, but there's an episode where they go and investigate Aaron's house because he has an attachment, and it is also great. Okay, so yeah, so they give us this rundown of all this stuff that happens that, again, seems like a lot, but it's also really disconnected and doesn't mean anything. They arrive at the house, and the dudes are all freaking out. They're like, oh my God, this is it. This is the house. And Zach says, I'm not often lost for words, which is true. He's not. He loves to talk. He's basically talking about how it was like fated that they're able to investigate the house now, and how those affected by the curse brought them there for a reason. Okay. I also want to point out that nobody from the cast died in or around the house, but for some reason Zach is like convinced that somebody from the cast is in the house still. But he also says that 3 people in the family died in the house. The last person who passed away was in 2020. Okay.
You know how many people have died in every fucking house?
Yeah, like, so that's why I'm saying, also because we're saying, like, this, like I said in the beginning, the house has not been on the market for 45 years. It was a family living in it. Obviously, that leads you to assume that some of the family members were elderly by that point. So 3 people dying in the house just doesn't seem crazy to me. Like, they don't say it was in a nefarious way or anything like that. So it's just like, it's just life.
It's one of those things where, like, if where you're living is like more than 50 years old, there is an like almost 100% chance somebody's died in that house from just like being old and just like passing away, you know, like,
yeah,
like it's again, it's kind of like the thing about like a burial ground. Like, it's impossible to be anywhere on this, like, on land, and just like somebody has died there.
Yeah, totally. So, yeah, so Zach ponders if filming on the land desecrated it.
God,
Yeah,
such
probably.
a fucking nerd.
Yeah. Again, he refers to this as an absolute iconic investigation. Zach says, they're here, to the guys as they're standing outside the house.
It's embarrassing.
Yeah, literally. So okay, they finally go on a tour of the house. Again, there's not really a lot of stuff in the house because the new owner is just moving in. Of course, she's got an old ass vintage TV in the living room, and Zach freaks out over the fact that it's turned to like the static noise because that's like what was happening in the movie when Caroline, the little girl, was like talking to the spirits through the TV, right? So he's like, "Oh my God." And Zach is touching the TV, of course. So now we meet Rachel Powers,
It's
who is
not
the new
even the
buyer.
same TV.
Oh no, 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 no! It's like, yeah, no, definitely not. We meet Rachel Powers, who is the new buyer, who invited. What does this say? Who? Oh my God, yeah. She talks about how she was interested in the house, and she just like intuited that the house was going to go up for sale, and then the next day it was, and so she bought it, and I was like, what?
Give me a
Okay.
break.
And then she immediately contacts Zach Baggins at Ghost Adventures. um they use a bunch of new instruments in this episode that like some of them I don't really understand. But they are using an instrument that's called an ITC, which is an instrumental transcommunication device, and it uses electronics, electromagnetic fields to like communicate with spirits, he's saying. And like, I don't really
Isn't
understand
that
how
just
this is
all of
different.
their tools?
Yes, that's why I'm like not really sure. This one is different because it shows like wavelengths or something, and like I just don't really understand like what this is supposed to be. Then we go outside. We are talking to a archaeologist who I found this scene very weird because we meet two women who are of Chumash descent. One is like an elderly woman, and the other one is, just like a middle aged. And so they come out here, and he's like asking them questions like, were there Chumash around here, and like all of this stuff. And they're just like, yeah, they could have been. Like all of this land was Chumash
But
land,
yeah,
so like
maybe.
it's possible. And Zach is like, oh, but then there's a archaeologist with him who is just like a white lady who is like giving all of the backstory and history about the Chumash on the land. And I was like, why did you have these two Chumash women come out? And then you're gonna just like have this other person like it just made no sense to me. They essentially the two Chumash women just like stood there and like listened to the archaeologist talking, and I was like, what is going on here? What is the point of this? But he's just like, yeah. He's just like, so do you think there could be a curse? And they're like, I mean, could be. I don't know. It's possible. And Zach's like, oh,
Proof.
you heard it here. Yeah. So this is when Zach describes to us like the quintessential scene of the movie, which is when the mom runs outside, falls into a huge hole that they've been digging to put in a pool. There is a pool there now in the house, by the way. And she falls in, and there's like real skeletons in there or whatever. And he's basically asking the two Shumash women if digging the hole for the pool could have initiated the curse or made the spirits angry. And they literally are just like, sure. They're like, why the fuck are we
Anything's
here?
possible. Can I have my my per diem?
You know what? Sure, yeah, please. I hope they got paid to be on there because they are just like, why? What? Anyways, okay, so now we go inside. We start taking preliminary things, which is that Billy is like taking EMF readings or whatever. Aaron's just like taking pictures in the day. It's not daylight. They've got the lights on in the house, and he's just like taking random pictures. This is like another one of those episodes where the actual investigation is like 20 minutes, and like the rest of it is him just like talking to fucking
Just
people.
talking about how much he loves the movie and shit.
Yeah, because now Rachel, the owner, is telling us about how everything was fine, and then she came for the inspection, and she was feeling dizzy and lightheaded during the inspection. And she said, that's really weird because I'm a really healthy person. Okay, I believe you. Aaron and Billy, after this like side interview with Rachel, are freaking out because they experienced some lights flickering, but nobody captured it on camera. So Zach is like, okay, I'm going to defer to the homeowner. Did you see the lights flicker? And she's like, yeah. And he's like, that's proof. And I'm like, okay. The weird thing to me, it's weird to me when they see things that aren't caught on camera, because why are you not rolling? Why is everybody not rolling
Yes.
all the time that you're there? And there's like multiple parts in this episode where we hear Zach say rolling, rolling, rolling. Like, so I'm confused.
There's been
about
things
what's going on
like Survivor where like you would think outside of like when they're going to the bathroom that they would be being filmed all the time. And like there was an episode where like one of the dudes like legitimately like passed out off camera, and they made him like reenact it to get it for the camera. And I'm like, how did you not have a camera on this person?
I don't know. Well, and the thing that's like even wilder to me about Ghost Adventures missing stuff is that they always have the guys, they have like actual camera people filming them, but then they usually are filming themselves also. So it's like, well, how do you not get that?
You would think they would do the like Kitchen Nightmares thing where they just set up cameras in like every corner of the building.
Right, and I don't know why, but it kind of seems to me like they've stopped doing that. Like, they do have cameras because we see some camera evidence, but it's only like a few, and it's not like it used to be where they put up cameras from like every angle. So I don't know. I think they're relying too much on their fancy bullshit stuff, and they're not like doing the work of like sometimes you just have to wait around.
It's the same thing I've kind of talked about, I'm sure, in like a bunch of these episodes of like Destination Truth, or like any of those shows where they're like, we're going Bigfoot hunting, and I'm like, well, how many times can I watch you do an episode where you don't find anything before I'm just like, well, clearly this is not real.
Yeah. Yeah, so the lights flickered. She confirms that they did flicker. Again, it's the house is how old? Like, lights are gonna flicker.
And guess what? Infrastructure in this country is terrible and crumbling. So, like, your lights are gonna flicker a lot, probably.
Yeah. So now we're seeing that the EMF spikes are going, and Zach says that is why we use scientific evidence.
Boo. Right. Boo this man.
Yeah. This is when now we meet Jill, who we were talking about earlier, who is a psychic medium that worked on the set of Poltergeist 2. She shows Zach a letter from the director saying basically like, thanks for being a psychic on the thing. I guess she's trying to say that she like predicted a bunch of stuff about the movie. She helped with the casting, and I'm like, okay, I don't like. I guess I'm not really sure like why she was there totally. But he asks her if she picked up on anything that would cause a curse, and she says, yeah, it was the pool scene. She was against, we talked about this, where she said she was against using the human remains because you can be dealing with angry spirits, and she told them not to use it, and they went ahead and used it anyway. Look, now there's a curse. While they're outside talking to Jill, this made me laugh really hard because somehow they get locked out of the house. And
I forgot about this.
Zach is like, Rachel, we're locked out. And she's like, well, the keys are inside. And they try and spin this as if, like, the ghost locked them out and not just, like... Because Zach's like, are these automatic locks? Could this lock by themselves? And I'm like, my guy. Like, doors...
Guess
like,
what?
Getting locked out of a house is so easy.
You probably hit the lock and then shut the door.
Also, like, how many people are in production there? Like, somebody could have done it by accident. Anyways, luckily she's got... But they, try to spin it into being something spooky. Like, the ghosts don't want them to come in. And I was like, you know what? I wouldn't either if I was a ghost, to be honest with you. Rachel has extra keys in her truck, so it's fine. They get in there. They go inside, and Zach goes inside with Jill, and Zach is asking if the spirits of the cast members are there. And in my mind, that's why I was like, why the fuck would they be there? They didn't die there. Like, nothing happened on set. I don't know why you thought that they would still be in this house or whatever, but Jill is saying that she feels the spirit of a family member who is stuck in the house because they didn't have any faith when they died. And I was like, okay, enough with your propaganda here. Thank you. While they're saying this, the recorder picks up somebody saying died in the background. I'm going to be honest, it just sounds like Zach's voice to me. So
Yes.
I don't know. They go back out to the pool and they rehash everything again. Okay. Now Aaron's like, here, I was taking these pictures earlier with the Polaroid, and here you go, here's this weird one with a blue blob in it. And they're like, oh my God. Now they're talking to some fucking neighbor who was around the time that the movie was being filmed, and he's talking about how we met Steven Spielberg and all the shit. And I was like, what? Can we get on with it?
Also, Steven Spielberg was not the director, so...
Well, because he was talking about, like, E.T. and stuff, too. So I was like, what are you what's going on here? I thought, but...
One person in this show should have just said the name Toby Hooper, but they never do.
No. So he says he waited till everybody went to lunch, and then he snuck in there. He was a teenager. He snuck in there, and it was really weird because he saw a mound of dirt in the middle of the living room. Okay. Thanks for that. Now we see we're rushed outside because Nathan's favorite crew member, Jeff, is out there.
Oh, yeah.
And he says that he saw the lights in the room above the garage go dim and then flash. And then they show us that they did indeed catch this on camera. And need I remind you that Aaron was just walking around taking pictures inside? So, like, even though they're trying to say that this didn't happen at the same time, it literally looks like a camera flash to me. So you're not going to get me with that one. Now we meet Tawny, who was another psychic medium. And she comes inside. Oh my gosh, I had to split my notes up. Hold on here. Flipping through mine. Okay, here we go. Okay. And we're actually almost done. That's what I'm saying. We haven't even gotten to, like, the actual investigation yet.
Yeah, the investigation is dumb as shit.
Tawny says that every time she drives, I guess she lives nearby, every time she drives by the house, she feels a man staring at her, which, yikes. And she says that she's, like, going around, she's, like, doing her thing, and she's saying that the spirit feels really territorial. And so she wouldn't be surprised if Rachel, the owner, is feeling oppressed, which says she has. And then she also feels like she thinks there's 3 spirits there, a woman and 2 men. And then Zach tells us that it was privileged information, that the 3 family members who died in the house recently, one was it was 2 men and a woman. Okay. I believe Tawny. Listen, I support her. Okay, now for some reason, Jay, the guys are outside in the back, and Jay is telling us about Shumash's spiritual belief system. Like, I have no idea why, because it doesn't have anything to do with, like, what's happening. He just, like, tells us about how it's, like, like, people on Earth, the spirits, and then these, like, demon things or whatever, which sounds pretty scary. And Zach is just like, yeah, man, that's gotta be, yeah, that's the scary stuff that's going on here. It's the curse, and it's plagued this house for 42 years. And I was like, what are you talking about? 35 minutes into the episode, we're finally starting to investigate. Zach is holding a baby doll, and he wants to assure us that he didn't bring it from his house. So he doesn't have any baby dolls at his house. This baby doll is
that very sketchy to say.
I do too. Yeah. I don't know. He doth protest too much, if you know what I'm saying. He tells us that it's from his museum, and it is actually a doll that used to belong to Heather O'Rourke.
I don't know if I believe that.
I don't either, and also, even if it is, like, I just am begging Zach to, like, leave these people alone.
That feels like a thing that, like, he found on eBay where someone just said that's what it was.
Well, and I'm pretty sure I've seen pictures of her with a baby doll, but it was just like a Cabbage Patch doll. It was like a mass-produced doll, so, like, who even knows, okay? Now Jay is mansplaining baby monitors to us.
Finally, now I understand baby monitors.
I know, lost technology, right? And Jay also talks about the spirit box thing again. That's like not a spirit box, but literally is a spirit box. Zach is just monologuing. I didn't even bother talking about like
The
what he's
whole
saying.
episode.
Yeah. This is the first thing that I found very strange about this investigation in regards to every single other investigation I've ever seen, which is that instead of walking around the house with like his devices asking questions, he is talking through the baby monitor into the other rooms of the house where there's baby monitors and then trying to pick up sounds on the baby monitor and then like record them with his hand recorder. And I was like, why is he doing this? I was like so perplexed by
That is my question about everything that happens in this show is why is he doing this?
I mean, so this was weird to me, right? This is when he starts to kind of like spiral a little bit because he is saying, you know, I know it's really weird for you here because you were here doing this movie and talking to spirits, but now you are the spirits and I'm trying to talk to you. And he says, we are your friends. My guy, they do not know you.
Yeah.
Okay?
Not everybody is watching this show.
Yeah, he is asking them to reenact scenes from the movies. Then he starts speaking directly. He asks for Carol Ann, which is weird to me because that is like a character, that's like the character's name from the movie. Like he's not speaking to the spirit of Heather O'Rourke. He's like talking to a character in a movie. And then he says, they're here again, but through the baby monitor and like high pitched, and it's like fucking weird. Like he's weird in general, but his behavior in this episode was like very like not in the norm for him. I felt like it's very weird. So now they're randomly stopping the episode to give us a preview as to what the rest of the episode is going to be.
Yeah, it's like in the next hour.
I was like, okay, well, I'm still just watching it, so like, continue. But like, what?
I wonder if that's a thing where like, because it probably runs over like a 2-hour time span, they're just being like, hey, this isn't over. It was actually an extra hour because it's the premiere or whatever.
Yeah, shit's getting real.
But also, I would be like, you have done nothing in this first hour. If this was a full episode, I'd be so mad.
Yeah. Also, because again, I feel like he does this thing a lot where he gets people to come give their expert opinion or give their stories or whatever to give context to what's happening. But it's like no new information other than what he has already himself told us. So it's like, what is the fucking point? I mean, obviously they're just trying to beef out that, like, fill out the time. But like, I don't know, it's very weird. So now we hear an unexplained noise, and of course, and he's claiming it is a little girl voice. He is replaying the little girl voice to us. Again, he's holding the baby monitor up to a sound recorder, which is like fucking weird. Now they finally take out the obelisk, which again is the thing where they ask questions and then the ghosts supposedly type words onto the screen to like give them answers from a database. And they've been hearing like quote unquote noises, which I didn't hear any, but it's fine. And one of them asks, how are they making these noises? And the obelisk responds, their arms.
The thing we didn't mention is that it sounds like fart noises.
Their butts.
They're doing the hand and armpit fart noises.
Oh
I also like this, like, who's doing this? And it's like, Chris, aggression. And I just assume they're talking to like a dead wrestler.
Chris, aggression. So then, okay, between the obelisk things, there's also 2 different light anomalies that they show us, which you know how I feel about fucking light anomalies. Then, yeah, they're asking about that. They say Chris aggression, and then Aaron or somebody says, like, Chris aggression, and then it says, wrong. So it's like, just kidding, it's not Chris. It's not Chris aggression.
I discovered that I have a soundboard, so this podcast is about to get real annoying.
I don't know why I didn't expect that.
I was just waiting for
God.
something.
Oh my
For
God.
a sad trombone.
Oh man. Oh.
Every time Zach Baggett's name is said, I'm gonna just do sad trombone.
Well, that's me for today. See you later. Okay. Okay. What in the hell does that say? Suddenly. Oh. Okay. So yeah, Aaron is wrong about this being Chris aggression. And then, so they're like just investigating or whatever, and suddenly Aaron just like quickly walks away. But he doesn't know why. It's unexplainable. Like, Aaron's getting low-key possessed this whole episode again.
Aaron is so funny because, like, he constantly just, like, seems so over it, but also, like, the only one that actively seems to believe the shit that's happening.
Oh, yeah,
He's,
definitely.
like, got such a weird, like, personality on this show, but also, like, if this is, like, the episode that all of the shit with his wife was found out, I'm sure he's just like, fuck this, I'm walking away.
Yeah. Could you imagine that's when he got the text?
Right.
They capture something. Okay, this infuriated me because they're like, meanwhile, like, Billy catches something on the kitchen camera that we'll show you later when we give our in-depth analysis. And then when they show us, like, spoiler alert, it's fucking nothing. I was like, why are you doing this? Like, you showed us every single other thing in real time, but this one thing you're not going to show us? Dumb. Zach, all of a sudden it just switches to, like, just Zach, and he's being like, I don't feel very good. Like he, tends to happen. And then he starts yelling, open the gateways, open everything. And he's like yelling this, and then he says he feels like crying. And he asks if he can go into the bedroom alone, and they're like, yeah, go ahead. And he goes in there, but Aaron immediately follows him anyway. They start using a spirit box where they hear what they refer to as quote-unquote Native American voice talking, because they can't understand what it's saying.
Great.
Zach has some other kind of fucking device. I don't even know what it is, but of course he's telling us that it's acting weird now. Aaron is like going into a trance, and they're like, Aaron, what's going on? And he said it was because he put a mint in his mouth and it tasted like dirt. And he felt like he was being buried alive.
Jesus Christ.
Okay. Zach is really frustrated at this point and upset because the devices have bottomed out, which means there's no activity, and he's pissed off because nobody wants to talk to them. And then they hear what he describes as a faint girl voice and says, is there a little girl here? And then the voice on the thing says, like, no, she left. And then you hear a voice say, Daddy? And he goes, Daddy? And it was the inflection that he has when he screams Daddy. It was like the funniest thing ever. Because Zach, I literally just wrote, I'm dead. Like, Zach thinks that this little girl is calling him Daddy. And as you know, that is one of the scariest things to him.
Yeah.
Daddy?
Well, I don't know. I saw his dating profile. He's interested in kids.
He's open to it, yeah. I just remember that one episode we did where he was like, I hear the most terrifying thing I've ever heard in my career. And it was a little girl going, I love you. And he was like, traumatized. Okay. This is when, after the daddy thing, this is what, like, really sent him to spiral, I guess. Because they go back to Nerve Center, and Zach picks up the baby monitor and just goes on this monologue, and he's talking about how he's like, I'm sorry, I'm not feeling good because, I'm getting older, and when you get older, you just don't feel good, and it happens for stupid reasons. And he just, like, keeps going on and on and on about it. And literally in the middle of him talking, Aaron goes, are you having a mental breakdown right now? And everybody just starts laughing, all and like including Zach, right? Because Zach is like, yeah, a little bit, and they all just start laughing, and then Aaron goes, "That was great. That was on TV."
Aaron knows what makes
we literally
good programming.
I mean, and yeah, so he literally has a mental breakdown on TV. He then continues after Aaron's like confronted him about this to go on and on about how essentially he's talking about how everybody's gonna die. Like
so weird.
It is insane. Because at one point too, he like throws the baby monitor on the desk.
Yeah, he's like he keeps being like, "Move the doll, move the doll,
move the damn doll,"
and then he just goes, he like throws it down, and he just like kind of whispers to him, so he's like, "Move the fucking doll." Like he's like he's just like, and I have to assume that there's so much footage like that like they catch where he's just like trying to get something to happen and so nothing's happening, and he just gets like exasperated, and I want to see all of that footage. That should be the entire show.
Yeah, right. And then I think they added it because at the end we'll see what happens. But yeah, he like literally like spirals and has a mental breakdown on TV, and the dude just like thinks it's funny. I was like shook when I have never ever seen him act like that. So now, okay, there's some fucking weird, like, experiment that Jeff has set up where they're showing a screen, like a projector screen, and there's, like, light blobs up on it, and he's talking about something about how they can, like, manipulate the light blobs, and I just, like, literally do not understand what they're talking about, but they're doing an experiment with that where they've got like some kind of device that will vibrate at a certain frequency, and they do it at a frequency which is known to like irritate people, I guess. I don't know. You guys know I don't know science. So, but that's what's happening here, okay? While that's happening, upstairs, Zach is by himself, and he hears, quote unquote, the strangest noise he's ever heard. And he says it sounded like an interdimensional door opening.
Yeah, he knows what that sounds like.
So, you know, do with that what you will. This is when the equipment starts going on the fritz. Billy is freaked out about a light turning off and on or something. Okay, this is the part, again, that was like, I think, genuine. I think this like genuinely happened. Because like we've said, there's been a few times in the episodes where something happens where his behavior seems out of character. The one where he got scared and he like ran into the wall and broke the camera or whatever.
I forgot
like
about
on
that
level. And this is one of them, right? Okay, so now Zach attaches the spirit box directly to the TV. They've got the TV on, so it's like the static of the TV, the static of the spirit box, which is like a lot, right? But he's like holding his hand on the spirit box, and they're like talking, you know, like trying to get somebody to talk. All of a sudden, the sound on the TV blasts like at full volume, and it scares the shit out of everyone. And Zach literally falls over onto the floor and then is like kicking at the TV as if he's gonna like kick a spirit away from him or something. And it is hilarious. Like he just fucking falls over like an anime character. It is crazy. Okay, so after that they're just like, oh wow, crazy. So they go back to the spirit box and they're like, hello, is anybody there? Can you know, speak to us or whatever? The spirit box says hello, and then Zach goes hello, and then they start yelling. The guys start yelling hello back and forth to each other, like as if they've never heard the spirit box say hello before. Zach is like literally beside himself as this is happening, because next they think what they hear the spirit box saying is Zach. Hello, Zach. And Aaron and Billy are screaming, he said Zach, they said Zach. And Zach like literally actually looks like so beside himself in this moment. Zach says something about, oh, can you tell us the name of the movie that was filmed here? And the spirit box says important, which is not the name of the movie, but that's fine.
Might be in ghost
then
language.
They hear, That's true. Then they hear again what they describe as Native American voice. And then they hear hello again, and they're like freaking out over the hello. Hello, hello. This is when Zach says the scene in the movie is our reality right now.
Oh my God.
Which is also incorrect if you've seen the movie. Okay, so after this, for some reason, Jay is the one that goes outside to do a ceremony to give respect to the Chumash on the land, allowing them to like investigate there, which I'm like, okay, how is Jay qualified to be doing this? But fine. Finally, they show us that Billy and Zach are like sitting at Nerve Center or whatever. They're watching the cameras, and finally they see the doll fall off the shelf, and they're just like seeing it through the camera, right? And so they're like, oh my god, did you see that? And so they go upstairs, but Zach is kind of like scared to go in the room, which I thought was kind of funny. They're just like standing tentatively in the hallway. And that's like the end of the investigation. They cut back to them being in Vegas, and there is some kind of a weird like chamber thing that Zach is saying is supposed to replicate them being inside a TV, which like I just don't really understand why. And he basically just recaps what happened in the episode that we just watched, right? And then he says, "You're just as shocked as you are." I doubt that, Zach.
I don't know. I was pretty shocked.
They bring Jill, the psychic medium who worked on Poltergeist 2, to the museum to show her. Oh, well, she comes and he's like, "Thanks for coming. Like, I heard that you have a photo to show me." And she's like, "Yeah." So she shows him this photo that her daughter took with her phone, where it's like her standing in the living room pointing to the TV, and for some reason, the TV after image is like over her chest, which like the picture is weird, right? But they're like, "Here, this is weird." And then Zach is like, "Okay, well, Billy, do you have pictures on your phone?" And essentially Billy took the same picture on his phone as like the daughter took. And that's when I thought, I had like a weird thought where I was like, Billy has got to have like an insane amount of cloud storage like on his phone.
Yeah.
That like every time Zach is like, "Do you have this picture?" And Billy's like, "Yeah, here you go." And so they basically show us that like nothing weird happened when he took the picture, which like I don't really know what that's supposed to be telling us. Like maybe she's got an old ass phone, you know? This is when Zach is like, "Oh, I have something to show you," woo, and reveals Jill, the terrible clown doll from Poltergeist, from the set. And she's like, oh my goodness. And she's like all crazy, like, ugh. I don't even know what her reaction is, like kind of weird. But she tells Zach that there is a spirit inside the doll that is an actor. And Zach, first of all, when she says there's a spirit inside the doll, he's like in this top part of the doll, and he's telling me that he was like told to act bad, but he's not really a bad spirit. And Zach's like, "Wait, there's a spirit in the doll?" And the way they catch this like side eye that he gives her, this like look he gives her, he looks genuinely disturbed from this information. Like, it doesn't look like, it's not like, you know how like a lot of times when people are saying like whatever the crazy thing they experience, and Zach is looking at them like, "Oh yeah, I totally believe you, this is really serious." It was like a literal like off the cuff shot that he actually looked disturbed, and I'm like, "What is going on with you, guy?" Like something else weird I think is going on. But what she's saying is that the spirit inside of the doll is being an actor, like acting like it's evil even though it's not, or whatever. And Zach takes that incorrectly to mean that a spirit, like an actor from the movie, is in the doll, and like that's literally not what she said, but that's fine. So now it shows them all showing Rachel the evidence that they got, which we've already seen all the evidence. Jay, this part made me laugh out loud too. Jay, they're like showing her the light anomalies, which again, okay, but Jay says that light anomaly is coming up from the ground. And what do we know about the ground?
Good question.
Like, he's obviously he obviously means like it's desecrated land, whatever. The ground is cursed or whatever. But the term "what do we know about the ground" just really made me laugh. Aaron flips out at this realization. Well, what do we know about the ground? Okay, so the evidence that they withheld from us before is literally just they caught a light outside the window and they're trying to say that like they just like don't know what it is because there's no road back there. I'm like, okay, great, thank you for making me wait 36 minutes to see this light. They're showing her the scene in the living room where the boys are all freaking out about the spirit box saying hello and Zach or whatever, and Rachel starts laughing at like how doped they are. Zach looks embarrassed, I will say. That she's like laughing laughing at them. Then they show her the footage of the doll falling off the shelf and they're like, oh look, there's a weird light on it. Oh, weird, whatever. And then it just cuts to the outside of the house again, and Zach says, this film altered my childhood. I never thought I would be able to deep dive into this weird curse as an adult. And then it just abruptly cuts the end.
Yep.
I'm like, that's it.
What a bad show.
That was Poltergeist. Okay, so I'm telling you, like, I know we talked about in the beginning of the episode that they filmed this season before any of the crazy like life during Aaron's thing, right? But they were already like filming or whatever. But before whatever happened with Zach, all of the episodes so far have been weirdly gimmicky. Like this one, the Poltergeist house, obviously is a gimmick. This episode after this, my computer just made a really loud sound. Is it the curse?
Probably.
The episode after this is they go to the Winchester Mystery House, which they have been to before, but specifically they go back because they're trying to hold a seance to talk to the spirit of Houdini. and they have Houdini's like last living relative. It's like his great nephew or something like that, and the great nephew is like very into Houdini, very into his legacy, is like super stoked to be there, so I love that for him. Like he definitely seems to be getting some fulfillment out of it, but I'm just like, what? Why? I don't know, it seems something's going on.
I mean, I assume it's gotta be because like again, it's that thing where like they are 29 episodes deep and they don't have like any proof outside of them amping themselves up and getting scared by a 2x4 falling somewhere else in the house. Like,
yeah,
you have to like, it's gonna just become just gimmicky shit where it's like only going to sort of known places, but it's like you've already been to most of them in 29 seasons, so like what do? You go back.
Yeah, and that really seems to be like what's going on. So I'm like, I really doubt, given the notoriety of the show, that they would cancel it, but it does kind of feel like it's leading up to cancellation, so I don't know, we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, at some point, like it's gotta end. Like, yeah, at some point, sure, like they're just they are going to just start like retreading all of the shit they did before, and it seems like maybe that's starting now.
Yeah.
A bad show. Sticking with that.
I mean, I just couldn't believe how like unhinged this episode was, especially because like, even though I'm saying the rest of the content, like the rest of the season has been gimmicky, none of it has been like unhinged like this episode was. So like maybe you're right. I mean, now that you've said people were saying that they think this was the one where they found out, that might kind of make sense to me, because it's like it is a really crazy thing to have happened to like somebody you're very close to, right? So like it could be.
Well, but it's also an episode that it does feel like Aaron is like less there than at least the ones I've seen. Yeah, like he's clearly there, yeah, but he's like not, he is endlessly freaking out in the episodes I've seen, and I feel like there's only like a couple scenes where he's just kind of like around for most of the episode.
Yeah, and then he did have that vision of himself feeling like he was being buried.
Yeah,
So that's kind of weird.
He ate a dirt flavored mint.
Yeah, he ate a dirt flavored. That's what you get for eating those crackers. I will say too that like maybe part of what makes this episode weirder to me is that like normally, except for on that episode where they did that season of the show they did that was like house calls, it is just like a small house versus normally
Like in a big warehouse or some shit.
Right. So they don't really do a lot of investigating. Like maybe that's why they decided to just do the baby monitor thing because there's like not a lot of room. I don't know, but either way, really crazy. So if you want to see him have a mental breakdown, this is the episode.
All right. Do you watch anything else this week?
I kind of just like rewatched some stuff, like random stuff. I don't think I watched anything new.
Yeah, I think the only thing I watched outside of like stuff for the podcast was Vinegar Syndrome released George Romero's The Dark Half. I like started diving into that, but I got like I haven't watched any like the bonus stuff on it yet. And that movie's fine, you know.
Yeah.
One of the better King adaptations.
Yeah, I agree. I liked it. All right. Well, I haven't seen it in a very long time, but
it's got the same problems like most King adaptations have, where like at some point you're just kind of like, all right, this is ludicrous, and like the end is dumb as shit, but overall it's like fine. Like it's I don't know, it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, we will shout out.
Oh no. You go first.
Good question. Let me see.
I do not shout out dill pickle cotton candy, that's for sure.
Man, I don't know. Like literally all I did pretty much all week was just work. I don't know. Shout out not working.
Yeah.
Calling off
Let me
work.
see what
Pretty fun.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I'll shout out another book. I like literally the only thing that I've done recently because my life has been really crazy the last while. And so I've been listening to like a lot of audiobooks in my spare time, and then like typically when I'm watching TV, I'm literally just watching. I did watch a little bit of that show that was like shit, what was it called? The Ghost Inside My Child or whatever, and it's about like children. It's about like parents and children who the children think that they've been reincarnated, so they like remember part of their reincarnated life until like a certain age or whatever. And so they interview them about like why they think that, and then they like try and go and find historical facts to like back up what the kids are saying, and they supposedly do. And so it's kind of just like I don't know, it's weird. And then I never watched this back in the day, but the guy who hosts it, I don't remember his name, like came up on my feed recently, and people were talking about the show Paranormal State, which is like an old ghost show, which I just like had never heard of or seen, but apparently it was like the gateway for a lot of people. So I've been watching that, but it's like, I don't know, it doesn't have a lot going. Nothing will beat like original Ghost Hunters for me, honestly. So I haven't really been watching anything new. I rewatched American Psycho. I rewatched Jumanji. You know, the comfort movies. I read a few books. I don't think that I recommended this one yet, so I'm gonna recommend one that's called The Haunting of Velkwood, and it's by Gwendolyn Kiste, Kiste, and it is about, basically there's like this happening that occurs that makes this entire town turn into like a ghost town, and for some reason people are not able to like come in and out of it except for people who lived on the street but escaped whenever the thing happened. And so like one of the main character gets approached by this like scientist guy, and he's like, hey, we really want to like study what's going on in there and find out what happened. Like, can you help us? And so she agrees because her life is kind of like not fulfilled because she can't move past like whatever the event was. And so she agrees to go back, and like there's only a specific way you can walk into the town, so she does, and she like goes around a little bit, and then when she comes back out, nobody's there to like give her a ride home, and she's like, what the fuck, like what's going on with you? Like, I was only in there for like half an hour, and the guy's like, you were in there for 3 months, we thought you weren't coming back or whatever. And so it goes on from there, and it was like really different, and it's been one of the better books that I've read recently. So that
yeah, I haven't
more
fucking read
ghost stuff.
anything in a minute. I got like halfway.
You're off your alien.
Yeah, I took like a break because like I got
Yeah.
the last two I read. I was like, I am not here for these. And like I said, like I've just been like working, so I've been like burning through my podcast queue instead. Like, I need to get to these fucking Alien Omnibus ones, because they don't have any audiobooks for those, but after those, there's, like, a bunch of them audiobooks. But I think I still have 3 more Omnibus to get through. And that's
going.
Like 6 more books. Alright, I think we're doing that fucking Ghostbusters ripoff movie next week.
Oh, yeah.
Means you gotta watch Tsunami.
What was it called? Osmosis.
I don't know.
I don't know why I was about to say Osmosis
like
Jones.
Ghoster Patrol something.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ghosters Phantom Patrol.
Yeah, great. I bet it's going to be amazing.
When ghostly phantasms escape from an underground government facility, chaos, terror, and whimsy abound.
Oh, I love that there's chaos, terror.
Yeah, but there's some whimsy.
A little splash of whimsy. Yeah. Just a little bit for you. A little bit.
Only 24 people have logged this movie on Letterboxd, so...
Oh, great.
Alright. If you'd like to support us, you can join our Patreon, patreon.com/ISufferPodcast. Probably before this episode's out, I'll release, Katie and I are doing an episode, mostly on I Saw the TV Globe, where we're going to talk about, like, all of Jane Schönbrun's movies. Specifically, probably mostly, we're all going to the World's Fair. But I watched all of them. You can leave us a rating and review on iTunes and Spotify and whatever the fuck you listen to this podcast on. You can follow Kit at Hidden Kitstery and Kintrication of Blood. You can follow Katie at WerewolfFace and join Katie's Patreon at patreon.com/WerewolfFace. You can listen to my other podcast, 8K Movie Club. Alright, we're getting... follow Ghost Adventures with another movie about ghosts.
Yeah, we're in our ghost era.
For 2 episodes.
We could keep it going if we want to.
I mean, we could. Except most ghost movies are bad. Just do the movie Ghost.
Wow. Okay.
Alright. I hope you... but...
Oh, terrible.
This podcast about to become a nightmare.
I can't wait till Kit finds this out the hard way.